Well, good Saturday morning to you. Welcome to 10 with Tom. And it's the day before Mother's Day edition. And being that we don't do one of these on Sunday, this is our Mother's Day special. And so we're going to be talking about moms today. Just real quickly before we get to that, I just want to remind everybody that our Zoom youth meeting is tomorrow at 5 o'clock. And so we hope to see everybody on that. If you haven't gotten your instructions yet, be sure and let me know. And we'll make sure you get on there because we're looking forward to having a great time telling stories about moms and the incredible things they've done. So we look forward to that tomorrow night. Now we got to go back to a story of my mom. Now, as some of you know, Mother's Day is a special day to me because I too am a mom. And I know some of you are going, what? How in the world is that even possible? You're going to have to ask Will Harris about the details on that, or some of the girls who went to Georgia last summer. But I've got t-shirts to prove it. So I like Mother's Day. But here's the one that'll really rock your world. And a lot of this is due to my mom. But there was a time where I was a girl. Now, don't freak out. Hang with me. You got to hear the whole story. You see, my mom was a nurse. My dad was a school teacher. And they worked opposite shifts so that one of them could always be home with me. And we grew up in this little town called Greensburg, Pennsylvania. It was a small city. And so my mom could work or walk to work because the hospital was just a couple blocks away. And we would ride the bus into downtown, and she would take me shopping and get the things that we needed. And it was right around the time of my 4th birthday, which would have been shortly before Christmas. And of course, in Pennsylvania, about that time, it starts to get cold and the snow starts to fly. And so at dinner one night in December, my dad mentioned that it was about time to get me new boots because I had outgrown my boots from last year. And he was going to take me to Kmart to get boots. So my mother was very offended by that. She says, well, no, I get him his boots every year. I'll just take him into town one morning while you're at school, and I'll take care of it. And my dad said, no, I'm getting the boots this year. Well, my mom wanted to know why he was so insistent about that. And he said, well, it's like this. He said, the last couple of years, you have bought Tom red boots. And red boots are for girls. And Tom's a boy, and he needs to have black boots. So I'm going to take him and get him black boots. And I was in the next room. They were in the kitchen. I was in the living room. And I heard enough of that it doesn't register much to a 4-year-old, but I picked up some details of that story. And I was like, okay, I got this. So my dad and I went to Kmart, and I got a nice pair of black shiny boots. And so I liked those new boots. And it was just a couple of days later, my dad and my mom were going out, and they had a babysitter coming over. And so the babysitter came over to the house, and as soon as the doorbell rang and I knew it was the babysitter, I said to my dad, can I get my boots so that I can show Billy? And my dad was like, yeah, sure. And I'm sure in his mind he was thinking, what teenage boy is going to be interested in seeing a 4-year-old's boots? But if this is going to humor my son, okay, we'll go ahead and play with it. And so I ran and got the boots, and Billy came into the house, and my dad then proceeded to start getting ready to go out with my mom. And the next thing my dad heard was just this uproarious laughter coming from the living room. And so he quickly came out to see what was going on. And as he got to the living room, Billy was in tears. He was doubled over. He was laughing so hard. And my dad's like, Billy, what's going on? What is so funny? And he said, Mr. Bowers, you will never believe what your son just told me. And my dad's like, oh, try me. This will be good. And he said, so what did he say? And Billy said, he showed me his new boots, and he was so proud. And he said, when I was 3 and a girl, I wore red boots. But now I'm 4 and a boy, and I wear black boots. So you see, apparently I was 3 and a girl, but then I turned into 4 and a boy. So there was just something magic that happened, and my life was all straightened out because I had the right color boots. That was always one of my mom's favorite stories. I think she got over the disappointment of being called out by my dad for getting me the wrong color boots, because the story just made it so funny for them. Um, so that was how I got my start. Obviously, I wasn't real bright back then. Some would say I'm still not real bright even now. But my little detective mind took the little bits and pieces that I had and put it together and wound it into a really, really nice story. And it looks like we got a little bit of time. So I can fill you in a little bit on what happened and how I got to be Will's mom. We were on a mission trip. We were in Orlando, Florida. And those of you who've been on a mission trip with us know about care cards and writing positive notes of encouragement to others. And so one night after dinner, there was a group sitting at a table. It was a bunch of girls from South Carolina, and they were writing care cards, and Will went over and joined them, and he started writing care cards. And I happened to walk in to the room where they were all writing, and one of the girls looked at me, and then looked at Will, and then looked at me, and then looked back at Will, and she said, "Will, is that your dad?" And of course everybody looked, and he kind of smiled, and I said, "No, I'm not his dad, but I would certainly be proud to have a guy like this as my son, but we're not even related." Well, one of the girls who was sitting at the table had been writing the whole time, and it was one of those situations where she probably heard what was said but wasn't paying attention, so it didn't really mean anything. And then all of a sudden, something registered. And she dropped her pencil, and she looked up at me, and she looked at Will, and she looked at me again. She says, "Wait, you're Will's mom?" And of course, everybody started to laugh, and she didn't understand what was so funny until somebody said, "Think about it. Is that Will's mom?" And she, "Oh, I feel so stupid." So from that point on, they all started calling me Will's mom, and that story went around. And so to this day, I'm Will's mom along with Mrs. Harris. So Will has two moms, and one of the cool things I got to do, I was visiting Will at Southeastern, and while I was there, he had to go to class. So I had a little bit of free time, and I went into the bookstore, and they had a rack of t-shirts that was on sale. And as I'm flipping through the rack, I find a shirt that said Southeastern University Mom. And so it was like, okay, I got to do something with this. So I called Mrs. Harris and said, "Hey, I found this." I said, "You know the story. I don't want it to be offensive or anything. So if it's okay, but if it's okay with you, I'd like to get it so that I can wear it to his graduation." And so when we went to Will's graduation from Southeastern, I had a suit and tie on. And so we went out, we had dinner together beforehand. But when the ceremony was over, we all met outside. And while we were outside, it was, of course, very warm because it's Florida, it's late April. And so I took off my tie, started to unbutton my shirt, and then I said, I just got to take the shirt off, it's so hot. And when I took the shirt off, the Southeastern University Mom shirt was underneath it. And Will looked at it and cracked up. And so now you know the story about me being Will's mom. And then last year, had a chance to take the girls' high school Bible study on a trip up to Georgia. They did a retreat up in the mountains, and we had a great time up there. But they needed a bus driver, and so I was the van driver and the tour guide for the week. And so everybody got t-shirts for the trip, and they got their names on the back. And when I got my t-shirt, it said Mom on the back. So I guess I became the honorary mom to a bunch more. So that every time I think about Mother's Day, it gives me a good laugh, a lot of good memories. And as I said yesterday, I am so thankful for my mom and the great stories and the great things that I've learned from her. And so be proud of your moms, honor them today and especially tomorrow on Mother's Day. And we will see you in church tomorrow online, and then we'll see you in the Zoom meeting tomorrow night. Hopefully by then Mom will be okay to give you a break or maybe take a break from you. But we want to see you guys tomorrow night. And like I said yesterday, hopefully we're going to have some good news soon about when we can all get back together. So we'll be looking at that in the days ahead. I love you guys. Have a wonderful Saturday, and we'll talk to you in person on 10 with Tom again on Monday morning. Have a great day. I love you. Bye-bye.